Hey, how's it going? I want to talk today about gatekeeping, which is something that I have never really understood and I've actively been against. I've talked about it a lot before, with my friends and stuff, because there's been many times when I would try to get into a game or a show or music or, something like that they like, just to try and, connect with them and have another shared interest. And there have been multiple times where it's almost like they're pushing me away because maybe I don't understand it like they do, or, I didn't grow up with it, or I didn't spend enough time in the culture, I wasn't assimilated enough and I didn't really understand all the in-group references and stuff like that. But I've always held the position that I think that it actively hurts whatever, I guess in this case, media you are gatekeeping. One of my favorite bands had an interview where they talked about how, OG fans or whatever were being rude and elitist towards people that were coming from TikTok. And I think I definitely understand where they're coming from. Like I said earlier, maybe not understanding the culture or traditions and stuff like that. It can definitely be annoying. But at the end of the day, I always think that they are still supporting the artists, which will, lead to more opportunities and more work from that artist that you're probably going to enjoy. They're still buying merch, they're still giving the artist listens, stuff like that, buying the games if it's a game, watching the movies if it's a movie, stuff like that. But recently, I've actually been pretty conflicted with my feelings on it, actually because of TikTok. Over the past couple of years, I've seen so many different trends. I'm numb to it at this point. I feel like it's every week now. There's a new core, just a random thing with core at the end of it, and it's some sort of aesthetic or trend or something like that. I've just become so numb to it. And I don't think this is even really a new thing, but I guess it's just that because of TikTok and, these algorithms, people have access to information so quickly nowadays, right? People are finding out about so many things that they would have never known about before. So, there's been a long-standing community in one thing, but because of, things like TikTok, it opens that thing up to such a wider and broader community. There's one recently that kind of popped off called Older Brother Core, which I actually really like because it's kind of what I grew up with, and I resonate a lot with that whole era and vibe. I like seeing the slideshows with, original Xbox and Halo and Guitar Hero, because that's literally kind of what I experienced as a kid. And I started to realize that a lot of these videos are being made mostly by younger people and kids who didn't actually grow up in these things, which is completely fine, by the way. I'm not trying to shame these people or, be a finger wagging, oh, you didn't grow up with this, you understand. I think that's lame. I think people should be allowed to enjoy things. It's just weird when now I'm on the other side of the coin where I'm looking at something that I experienced as a kid and having it kind of be glorified and propped up by people who don't actually have nostalgia for that era. And I kind of forgot that there are people who are significantly younger than me that aren't literal children. I don't really have a whole lot of cousins, and the ones that I do are literal babies. And my siblings are all sort of the same age as me. So I don't really have a lot of experience with, people with the sort of preteen or, teenager age group. So it's weird to me to see people who are significantly younger than me be able to form thoughts just because I literally don't hang around those people. Another one that popped up recently was this trend of making slideshows and edits of Call of Duty games like Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1, stuff like that. And, they put emo music and make it this whole edgy sort of aesthetic with even some cases make it this internet. And this one specifically stuck out to me because that is the era that was my childhood. I grew up in that, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3. I've spent thousands of hours on those games, and Modern Warfare 3 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. And let me just say that was not the vibe during that time, which again isn't me shitting on these posts, but I think it's funny to see kids who grew up later looking back with nostalgia about something that they haven't even experienced. Because when I think back about Call of Duty, I remember being a squeaker getting yelled at by a 40-year-old, for using a certain loadout that wasn't socially acceptable. I don't really think of this alternative, edgy vibe or aesthetic that's sort of being pushed right now, which doesn't mean that that wasn't a thing. It definitely was, but it certainly wasn't what I experienced. And this sort of made me think about when I was in middle school and high school, I did this too. I remember, back on this channel in 2015, 2016, I had the whole vaporwave 80s aesthetic that was really popular at the time, but that's not accurate to its source material at all. Everyone on YouTube had that whole vaporwave resonance song playing and stuff like that. It's just weird when it's an era that I grew up in and vividly remember being seen as this old age internet culture with all this nostalgia towards, when it doesn't even feel like it was that long ago when that's what I was doing, loading up the Xbox 360 every single day and playing Modern Warfare. I saw this, a little bit ago actually with Nightcore and Hatsune Miku and type of stuff like that. But I think Call of Duty is the one that struck me more because it's so much more appealing to a wider audience. And I just forget that people didn't grow up during that time. You know, so many kids nowadays, a lot of kids' first Call of Duty was like Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3, which to me is like, whoa, like, wait, you didn't play Modern Warfare 2? Like, how is that even possible? I literally forget. And I had that initial feeling of like, oh, what do these kids know type thing. And it sort of had me conflicted for a while about my beliefs about gatekeeping. And I do still think that it's stupid. At the end of the day, I think that it's dumb. Sure, people can be cringe and misrepresent something that is important to you, but I think you should let people enjoy things because, who really cares at the end of the day? I think there are times when people can, go overboard and stuff like that, but as long as they aren't hurting anyone, I don't think it really matters. I think people should be allowed to be cringe. As easy as it is to make fun of people that are cringe, and as much as I do it, I still think they should be allowed to do whatever they want because I was very cringe at a certain point. You can go back to see videos from I think like 6 or 7 years ago on this channel, and those are only the ones that I have public. There are ones that are way older than that which are definitely videos that I hope never see the light of day. And I don't want to become like a boomer who's, oh, I don't understand kids nowadays. I get it. I was a kid, I was cringe, and I sort of glorified the 80s and the 90s, and I still kind of do to an extent. And I also think it's so cool to see kids now think that the things I grew up with are cool. It makes me feel glad that I grew up with the games and shows that I did, and it ultimately allows me to appreciate them more. And I mentioned in the past, one of my favorite things is Sonic, and I think we all know how Sonic fans can be. But regardless, it hasn't stopped me from appreciating it and letting it mean something to me. I don't know, it's just one of those moments where you're really confronted with your, beliefs. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for today's video. Back on TF2, I'll probably do Minecraft again. I guess it depends on what the topic is and if I think playing it live is better or not. But yep, got Twitter and stuff in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see ya.